Hello, and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Adrian Islas.
I'm Michelle Vargas.
I'm Evan Boydston.
I'm Morgan Klein.
And I'm Sarah Fenton. Today we will be discussing the death of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, a controversial new law passed by Michigan lawmakers, and the news that Apple is refusing the FBI's request for the release of personal information belonging to the San Bernardino shooters.
Plus, we'll be talking about a landmark discovery by CSUF that supports the work of Albert Einstein.
So this past weekend was Valentine's Day. What'd you guys do?
It was good. I went to San Diego, and I saw a show. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys do?
Okay, get to it. Give me the dirty details. I want to know what you gifted, how you gifted it. Did you wrap yourself? Did you put chocolate all over yourself? I want to know it all.
I'm talking to me or Sarah?
I'm talking to all of you, trying to keep quiet about Valentine's.
Actually, to be honest with you, we didn't do much. We Christina's cousins came over. We hung out and we watched I Love New York for about 3 hours. We had a marathon on VH1. I don't know if you guys remember that show or not.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I remember
So,
that.
yeah, not a whole lot there. What about you,
All
Sarah?
right. Well, I worked all day basically, and then my boyfriend worked till late. So I saw him for a little bit at night, and then that was it.
Cool. What'd you do?
Did you guys?
I went hiking and went to the beach with a friend.
A male friend?
No, female.
Oh, good.
Which is like just
I know.
girlfriends hanging
Right,
out.
no, totally, I get it.
What about you, Michelle? Give us a dish.
I guess I kind of sort of celebrated it. I don't like celebrating Valentine's, but at the same time, I'm being totally biased because I didn't get red roses, and I'm kind of still like a little bitter, but on the down low. Because I said, oh yeah, I don't celebrate that, but you know what? Moving on away from Valentine's, now it's time to get to our hot topics. Our first story is the Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, which was found dead over the weekend in an exclusive Texas ranch, and his empty seat already has Republicans and Democrats at war. The 79-year-old Associate Justice reportedly died from natural causes, and authorities said they've ruled out any foul play, despite it being reported that the judge was found with a pillow over his head. Scalia was in a declining health and, according to the Daily News, had 2 consecutive doctor's appointments in the days leading up to his death. Justice Scalia was an outspoken conservative who was appointed to the Supreme Court Justice by President Ronald Reagan in 1986. President Obama said he plans to replace Scalia before his final term ends, while Republicans have vowed to block any attempt made by the president to reappoint someone to Scalia's seat, arguing that since he has less than a year left in his term, he shouldn't be allowed to appoint a new member of the Supreme Court. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said, quote, "The American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. Therefore, this vacancy should not be fulfilled until they have a new president," end quote. Meanwhile, prominent Democratic figures like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders say it is a constitutional obligation of Congress to stay out of the way of Supreme Court appointments. I definitely agree with them. It is the president's job to be able to appoint. I mean, that's part of what his job title demands. He needs to fill that seat. It's not the first time that in less than 300 days that he has left, right, that a president has had to appoint someone to the Supreme Court in the past. So I kind of want to open this up. Do you guys feel that the war amongst the government and the different parties is so prominent that they're, kind of keeping the president from doing his job?
Yeah, I mean, if this would have happened in the middle of his presidency, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. He would have just appointed someone like it normally happens when we have an open spot in the Supreme Court. We need someone to fill it. Mm-hmm. And so I do think we need someone to fill it right away. I want to send my condolences to his family, of course. Obviously, it must be a tough time, but we do need someone to fill it right away. And I don't think we need to wait. We don't need to make it any more political than it already is. It needs to be filled.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean it's already split. It's already split right now. Like typically he was the swing vote pretty much in the Supreme Court, and right now, so when the court rules 4-4, then it goes to whatever the standing was for the lower courts, and if they're already split, then you know it's something really, really controversial. So it's just interesting right now.
Yeah, I definitely believe that Obama, he has the authority, so Congress should really respect that. And Congress is pretty much overstepping their bounds here. It is his administrative duty to appoint Supreme Court justices. So, that being said, let the president do his job. Okay, so moving on here, guys. The popular technology company Apple is refusing to comply with FBI demands to weaken security settings on iPhones to help the Bureau in certain investigations. The FBI wants Apple's help involving the 2 terrorists behind the San Bernardino shootings that took place last December. Anyone who owns an iPhone knows that the security settings will lock a user out after a certain number of failed attempts to unlock the device. The FBI is requesting that Apple create new software that gives users an unlimited amount of chances to guess the correct passcode so that they may have a better chance at unlocking the iPhone belonging to the terrorists. After repeatedly denying this request, the FBI had a court-ordered mandate that essentially forces the company to comply with their demands. However, later that day, Apple CEO Tim Cook responded with an open letter published on Apple's website that said, quote, "We are challenging the FBI's demands with the deepest respect for American democracy and love for our country. We believe it would be in the best interest of everyone to step back and consider the implications," end quote. So this obviously brings a very interesting debate to light, and one that's probably been going on for quite some time before this case even came about. And that is, what's more important to the American public? Is it national security or is it their privacy? So what do you guys think?
I don't know how we're not into the phone already. I think it's obvious to me that the government needs to get in the phone. We need to know what happened leading up to the attacks, what happened after the attacks I think it was a 14-minute span before the police actually caught up to them and then they were caught. But there's so much in that phone that could help us to understand the whole incident, and we need to get in there. And maybe they were planning attacks for the future, and we need to be able to know so we can stop it from happening.
Yeah, especially in regards to rogue terrorists like that. Like, they acted on their own, but they might have been in contact and whatnot. So we need to know. Me personally, I think that I don't do anything wrong, so I have no problem with anyone knowing what's on my phone.
Yeah,
that's just my own personal thing. But I understand the argument, but I just can't relate to it, so.
Absolutely. I do find that it's a power struggle. I think Apple is saying now we have the upper hand. Not only are we top in technology and sales and pretty much conquering all over the world, not just the nation, but now how are they now coming to us to try and unlock this? We have the upper hand. And I think it kind of looks wrong, being that it is a company that was founded in this country, that they're not being pro-life and pro-America. So I do believe they should.
Right, absolutely. I mean, one of the interesting things, too, about this is that, since 2012, Apple has complied with 70 other orders, court-mandated orders to unlock phones. So the fact that they're really fighting this, I think they're just basically trying to protect their bottom line, as opposed to, really the interests of the security of the American public. Morgan, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I just think that Apple's bottom line is not more important than national security. You have billions and billions of people in this country, and we deserve to be at our safest. And if they need to unlock that phone, then they should unlock that phone. And it should have been done right when it happened. And like Sarah said, there could be more on that phone than we know of.
Members of the Michigan State Congress are being criticized for creating and passing a controversial new bill in the wake of the Flint lead poisoning crisis. The Huffington Post reports that after nearly 8,000 children were poisoned by a water supply tainted with lead in Michigan's 7th largest city, Michigan Senate members spent their time outlining and approving a bill that reinforced the law. The bill is reported as an anti-animal abuse law that also rewards and reinforces parts of an existing anti-sodomy law. Critics of the law say that it is not only unconstitutional and discriminatory, but that it is utterly impossible to reinforce. Many Michigan residents and politicians also took Senate members to task for not spending time and money resolving the lead poisoning problems in Flint. As of yet, the Michigan State Senate has yet to comment on or begin legislation to aid the lead poisoning crisis. Lead poisoning can lead to devastating and irreversible effects on the human brain, and as the crisis continues, the true scale of the crisis is unknown. Actually, going back to the lead poisoning, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of the timeline. In April of 2014, to save money, Flint actually changes its water resource to the Flint River rather than the Detroit water system. And then in late August, we see that they actually found bacteria in the water, but it took them until August to report that. And then of January of 2015, it shows that residents actually drove to the town hall and they were complaining about the symptoms. So what is your guys' intake on, like, first of all, how long it took for them? You know, it was exactly a year and a month after. I just think that's ridiculous. And these damages, like I said, they're irreversible. Mm-hmm. So it's devastating to see that. And it's more of, like, I think a debate of Michigan kind of being greedy in a sense that they wanted to save money. That's why they used the water from the river, and then the lead poisoning occurred. And what is your guys' kind of intake on that?
Well, I think in regards to, like, with this law being passed, which it was, the rumor was that it banned anal or oral sex, but it was really in regards to animal cruelty that still had wording in it about bestiality and any sodomy against mankind. So that they used that to get the law through. But the point of this is that instead of figuring out the water crisis, they're dealing with this. This is the first time they meet, and then they're not even doing anything in regards to the water crisis. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, especially since the whole sodomy, that can't be enforced. The Supreme Court is the one that has the overall ruling against that anyways. So
yeah, it really is. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you, how it is that they're able to have this on a docket prior to addressing, obviously, this what's going on down there. And it's plus for them to tie in this anti-sodomy law into this animal abuse legislation. I mean, where are their priorities? That's really what it comes down to. I mean, you have all these sick people right in your own state, and this is what you're focusing on.
Yeah, like how many more people need to be sick before they realize that this is what they should be talking about instead of animal cruelty?
Well, and I think it goes across the board. I think talking about Porter Ranch as well and the gas leak, I think it's just how are these corporate heads okay with the fact that so many people are getting sick and even dying, and then looking past it, I think it just really shows that this country is now turning into a mechanism of money rather than pro-life and pro-America.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the water yet, you definitely need to look, because it's sad that they have to drink this. So something needs to be done about that instead of what they're actually taking care of. Mm-hmm. 4 California State Fullerton scientists were part of a historical discovery that supports the work done by Albert Einstein in the early 20th century. Take a look.
This morning's event is not only a celebration of a breakthrough in astronomy and physics, but also a shining moment for our institution and our role in advancing scientific discovery.
That's right. This discovery is not only monumental for astronomy and physics, it's also a shining moment for Cal State Fullerton.
It was announced that the LIGO Consortium made the very first ever direct observation of gravitational waves predicted by Einstein's theory of relativity 100 years ago.
Gravitational waves are ripples in space-time caused by the motion of mass. The waves detected were from a pair of black holes that orbited around each other and merged into a final black hole.
We have not only verified this fundamental prediction of a 100-year-old physical theory that governs the deepest way we think about gravity, but we've used this fundamental property of general relativity to open a new window on an entire array of objects in the universe that were entirely invisible to us before this point.
Now that this window has been opened, the sky is no longer the limit to what we can see and hear.
Being able to detect gravitational waves is kind of like no longer being deaf to the universe.
We will learn more about how black holes, stars, and galaxies have formed and evolved, how planets can be produced, giving us a better picture of how our lives fit into the context of the universe as a whole. We
are saddened to report to you the death of the CSUF grad student Praveen Gala. Gala was reported missing by his roommates February 2nd when he failed to return home after spending the day on campus. The Daily Titan reports that the Huntington Beach lifeguards discovered Gala's body on February 10th around 11:30 a.m. about 1,000 feet from the Newport Beach Pier. Gala was an international computer science student from India. No word yet on an official cause of the death, but the report sends its deepest condolences to Gala's family and friends.
The Cal State Fullerton's College of Communications announced that the name of one of its departments will change beginning next fall. The Radio TV Film Department will soon be known as the Department of Cinema and Television Arts after a unanimous vote by the department's faculty members. Department Chair Garrett Hart says the change will hopefully better fit the focus of the department and help students communicate their skills to potential employers. The name change is set to officially kick in during the 2016-2017 school year, but students graduating this spring will be given the option between which name is used on their degree.
Comedian Roseanne Barr is venturing into the growing medical marijuana industry, and she may be setting up shop right here in Orange County. Santa Ana has begun the approval process for a 5,000 square foot medical marijuana dispensary, aptly named Roseanne's Joint. Barr, who suffers from glaucoma and macular degeneration, has long been an outspoken advocate in favor of the legalization of marijuana. The shop will specialize in bringing patients a high-end experience and will feature marijuana-infused chocolate macadamia nuts grown on Roseanne's farm in Hawaii. The shop is currently awaiting approval from the Santa Ana Police Department, but plans to open its doors to the public in the very near future.
Are you sick of buying, selling, and renting your textbooks each year? Well, freshman students Chase Diamond feels your pain. His new app will make it easier than ever for CSUF students to buy, sell, and trade textbooks directly to one another. Titan Texty is a free app that does the same thing other book purchasing apps do, without the shipping and handling costs. The app was modeled after SD Texting, the original app created by a San Diego State student named Ryan Hempel. Diamond has expressed a disinterest in turning a point from the app and says he will instead focus on developing the app to be more than just a search bar.
Fullerton is the recipient of a $3 million grant from the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine. The grant is to continue the growth of the university's already successful stem cell research and technology program. The grant was made possible by the California Stem Cell Research and Cures Act of 2004, which supported comprehensive in-state stem cell research. Cal State Fullerton has received over $6 million since 2010, and this additional $3 million grant will ensure that 50 more students are awarded fellowships through the year 2021.
What would life be like if CSUF was less of a commuter school and more of a college town? The report is live on the streets of Fullerton to find out.
I'm sure you've all seen the signs, our town, not college town, but what is college town? College town is actually a plan proposed by the city of Fullerton, Cal State Fullerton, and Hope International University. The plan would shut down part of Nutwood from Commonwealth to State College and would turn that into a pedestrian-only zone where they would soon build businesses and buildings to accommodate for the rising population of students here at Cal State Fullerton. There are many opponents to the bill, of course, from the neighboring homes around who say that it would devalue their homes as well as increase traffic from the surrounding roads. Today, I'm hitting the streets of Fullerton to see what students and residents think of College Town.
I think it would give so much more opportunity for better student development and getting people wanting to get more involved on campus and getting people to feel really a part of this community. I can see where some of the hesitation could be from the residents of this area because they don't want to see their city go down.
It looks an awful lot different to somebody who's been here 20, 25 years than it does to a student who's been here too and has no idea of the kind of history that's involved. If I were living on Chapman Avenue, down right across from the end of the project down there, pitchforks and torches would be required because they're talking about putting a 10-story building right across the street from you and, oh, by the way, a sound wall right at the front of your property.
So some of the things that Michael, the president, has been doing is going to different city council meetings and talking to the residents about our plan and the plan for College Town and being facilitators in that conversation and providing our perspective as well as understanding the community's perspective.
Is College Town the solution? You decide. I'm Evan Boydston, reporting for The Report.
Well, that concludes this semester's second episode of The Report.
We thank you for watching and hope you tune in next time for more news, views, and info. I'm Evan Boydston.
I'm Morgan Klein.
I'm Sarah Fenton.
I'm Adrian Islas.
And I'm Michelle Vargas. Stay fresh, Fullerton.